Hello YouTube friends,
Hi.
I'm here with Anna again and we're going to do another in the series of Making a Quilt with Anna. Now, it's been a while since we did this, but we have been busy with quite a lot of other things, haven't we?
And we have been talking about it.
Oh, we've been talking about it a lot,
Yeah.
a great deal. And so that's why we're ready to film this next instalment. Now, Anna's already decided on which block she's going to use. And we made one last time. And the way that we made it, we'll leave the playlist on the end so that if you wanted to join us from the beginning, you can. I made it out of this scrap fabric, and the way that we made this block, tell us what the inspiration was again.
The Little Women film, the most recent one.
Yeah.
And there was a quilt hanging as like the curtains for a stage in a play that they put on. And I was like, oh.
Yes, you were looking more at the quilts, which is what I do.
Yeah.
And so when Anna and I made this block last time, which is the pretty much the same block as is in that quilt, I got Anna to make it onto foundation piecing, like I often do strip piecing. And since then, I've come up with a much better way of making this, which I think will be more accurate, will be a more pleasing way to make this block.
Yeah.
And so that's what I want to show you today.
You're quite pleased with yourself, weren't you?
I am actually. Because since we talked and made that last video, I've been thinking about this and researching it, and this is not my idea. This is an idea that I stumbled upon probably on Pinterest. Which is a really good place to hang out, Pinterest, isn't it?
It is. It's excellent.
Yeah, it really is, isn't it? So a lot of you will already know the structure of the block that I'm about to make. But Anna doesn't, and maybe you don't, so I'm going to teach her how to make that now.
Excellent.
Now, let's talk a little bit about your fabric choices, because that was something that was really holding us up, and that's why I made it out of this scrap lavender fabric that we didn't want to use.
Yeah.
Today, I'm going to teach Anna to make the block, and I'm going to be using, I'm going to let you open this Kaffe Fassett Jelly Roll.
Thank you.
Even though these aren't Anna's colours, they're my colours for sure. I absolutely love this range of colour. I've had this jelly roll for a long time, and it's a big deal for me letting you open this.
Yeah.
But tell us a little bit about the how you've been researching your colours.
Yeah. So I've looked at an awful lot of fabrics, and I was really struggling. And yeah, I've been looking on all the different like really well-known fabric sites and Pinterest and things like that, and just hadn't quite found the exact one that I wanted.
Did you find it on Instagram in the end?
Yeah, I did. And I'm not 100% sure on the pronunciation of her name, but it's Michelle Parascandalo.
And we'll put her name in the description below.
Yeah.
Because it's
Oh, it's cool, isn't it?
tell us.
Well, it's very Liberty-like, isn't it? And some of them.
Yes.
But like really intense colour palette. So it's really like just a little bit like bonkers Liberty.
Well, when Anna showed me the website for this particular designer, I realised straight away why you'd be drawn to it. It's all your colours and patterns, isn't it?
And quite 70s, isn't it? Like
I guess it is a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, the kind of oranges and...
So we are now down that particular rabbit hole, trying to find that fabric for Anna in the quantities that we need. Now, I guess we should talk a little bit about how I've designed this quilt. Forgive me 1 second. Now, many different ways of making quilts, as many ways as there are people. And I'm not saying that this is right, but this is our way that I do this. You can buy a pattern, and that's a very, very good idea because somebody's already worked out the shapes and the sizes and the quantities you need. Someone's done all of that for you. And then you add in your own flair by adding in your own colour choices and fabric choices. Or you can do what I've done here, and this book here is the book that I use. It's got a graph paper side to it and a written side, and this is what I've used over the years. I mean, it doesn't bear close examination, really. It's just me sketching things out and then making notes and so on in this, and it goes right back many, many years. But this page then is the little scrappy little notes that I've made so that we can work out what it is this quilt might look like, what we need in terms of fabric. And so this is, it's not, I'm very mathematically challenged. I really, really am. And so working some of this stuff out is sometimes a little bit hard.
But I think, we were talking about this yesterday, Wednesday.
When we were planning this video,
Yeah.
and I was jotting numbers down and adding things in my head and taking them away, and
so you found it, like, I think she is good at maths, but in her own way, and like you found a way around it, you know.
I'd find it hard to describe to someone what I'm doing in my head, but I end up with instructions that then make a quilt.
Yeah, totally.
And I don't know how.
Because sometimes she's like, and of course, and I'm like, and I'm also mathematically challenged.
I hope that you see, though, how I've done this.
No, totally.
You do, don't you?
Yeah.
You do get it, don't you? And this is, so, yeah. So this then is my starting point for this. And it's given me the measurements that I need to show you how to make what we're going to do today.
Right.
Now, I'm going to be using this jelly roll, but because when we show you at the end the quilt block that Anna's going to make, the scale of it, we could make this with 2.5-inch strips, and we'd end up with a piece, a fabric square that was 10 inches finished. And I just think that
A bit big, maybe.
I do. I think the scale of that, it would look fantastic.
Yeah.
But I think the scale of it is a bit too big.
Because I think that's already quite a large block, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And so we're going to have this block finished at 7 inches, which means that we're going to have to cut 1/2 inch off each of these strips. I know.
But you can do something clever with this.
Now, we're going to put a lot of effort into accurately making this quilt block, Anna, because I've got an idea about what I might do with it afterwards. It won't go to waste at all.
Yeah. What's the idea? The secret?
I think it might be secret for now. I might tell you.
Oh, excellent.
Okay, all right, you get the fun of opening this.
Oh, right, cool.
Big onerous responsibility.
Do you schmo it apart or do you just pull it off?
You can do whatever you like.
I'll schmo it. Oh, imagine if they did a Michelle Parascandalo, one of these.
Yeah, that would be nice if they did a jelly roll in her stuff.
Yeah.
Parascandalo.
Michelle Parascandalo. I think it is. I apologise if that's some bad pronunciation.
So she's taken off the outer. Because once you've taken the elastic band off this, you will never get that back.
Yeah. Oh, look at that.
And then just unroll it. Now, what I need you to do, wasn't that fun?
Yeah.
It'll never go back into...
Be a fun job, that. Making jelly rolls.
I think, how do you think they make them? I think they roll up with the fabric and then cut them on some sort of fabric bandsaw.
Yeah, and there'll be people in that line of work who are like, well, of course, it's the blah, blah, blah 2000. So let us know in the comments if you...
Someone will know how they make jelly rolls.
Yeah.
Okay, so to make this sample block then, another sample block, but this one I'm going to use, we're going to need width of fabric. We're working with width of fabric. And
oh, we used that one in the bunting.
we did use it in the bunting, and this is also the back of a quilt that I made last year, and it's the borders for Agnes's quilt. And this is a line called Moda Grunge, and it's got this kind of grungy pattern on. But with Agnes's quilt, I used just the plain teal side.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to do today, is we're going to use the back of this particular piece.
That's
And
nice.
then I've already got this piece, which is the back of Agnes's quilt, because I'm going to use that one, width of fabric. So what I need now for this quilt block, you need width of fabric 8 inches and then 4 width of fabric 2 inches. So I need you to choose 3 more, please, that will go beautifully with that.
Okay. That one's quite cool.
Yeah.
Put that as a maybe.
Oh yes, definitely. I think that's a definitely. But mind you, that's the beauty of buying one fabric designer's range, is that you do get, I mean, there's always 1 or 2 that I reject, that I don't like at all, but you do get mostly fabrics that fit together beautifully. Well, that's this, but in a different colourway. So I'm going to say don't use that one because it's too similar to that one.
Oh yeah, gosh, it looks so different.
Yeah, it's a beautiful fabric though.
Because yeah, that's been one tricky thing with the Michelle Parascandalo, isn't it? Is they don't do jelly rolls.
No, they don't, and so we're trying to work out at the moment how to buy that fabric in the quantities we need, which is why I went to all these lengths to...
Oh, I like that one.
Well, have that one.
Well, that wouldn't go though, would
No,
it?
it would. It would go perfectly.
Would it?
Yeah, it would. Look,
Oh, that's cool.
that's beautiful with that. One more.
Oh yeah. Oh right, yeah.
One more. I need 4.
Sorry, you were talking.
Oh, I was just talking about Kaffe Fassett fabric.
Will this guy go?
You see, put it in.
I think it goes with the orange with that.
I think it goes perfectly. So without worrying and thinking about it too much, and you see, the world hasn't come to an end because we've opened a jelly roll, has it?
No, I love this one.
Have that one? Oh, you've
We've
got it.
Yeah.
Yes, I like that one as well. Now, we're using a solid fabric for the wider strip, but of course you can use whatever you like. You could have some patterned ones in there as well. Right, we're just fondling fabric now, Anna. So we're just going to put this back in a big heap. And it might be that I make a few more to go with this project that I want to make.
Yeah.
Using these. Right, okay. All right then. So, brilliant. All I'm going to do now then is cut these 2.5 inch strips down to 2 inches. So I'll do that now and give them all a good press, and then we'll get back here in a minute. I'm just going to give this a press, Anna, so that it'll be a lot easier for you to sew. Oh, hello, you're filming. It'll be a lot easier to sew it together if everything's lovely and straight. Okay, so we've set the sewing machine up. And I've pressed these and cut them down to 2 inches. Now what I want you to do is put them into a pleasing order. 1, 2, 3, 4. So.
Okay.
And it doesn't really matter, but because they all go together beautifully. But you're going to be sewing these together now. Pleasing order?
I find that quite pleasing.
I find that pleasing too. And so the first 2 strips then, just stitch them together all the way along the width of fabric at 1/4 inch.
Okay.
You've done this before, you know what you're doing.
Yeah. Am I going to use this as my thread bunny?
You could if you, well, it's a bit
big.
It's a bit big for a thread bunny, but I will make you a thread bunny. Thread bunny away. Thread bunnies are a good idea. We've talked about this before. They just stop the cottons from getting all tangled up and into a little bit of a bird's nest.
Do I need to pin this together, or is it okay with
No, I think you can. You're at the stage now where you do not need to pin.
Okay.
I think you can hold them together and just because the fabric themselves will stick together.
Yeah. Does it have to be like super
as accurate as you can? But fabric's very forgiving. So no one's going to mind if it's a thread or 2 out.
Okay.
So just pop it underneath the. That's it, grand. And so now what you're going to do then is sew.
I might like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And relax your shoulders and enjoy sewing. Now this block will yield 6 blocks. We'll show you.
You're just adjusting it as you go.
That's right.
Like that.
And so when you're sewing, you would do a few little anchoring stitches at the top of your run, and then you can check all the way along.
See how it's like that? Is that fine?
Well, just look at the other side, and if it's
Just
then
the same.
you can, if you want to scoot it over. But I'm not going to get you getting obsessed about 2 or 3 threads here and there.
What would you do with that? Would you have
I'd
it
sew
right
that now?
Yeah, would you have it right over to the edge like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would sew it and have a tolerance for it being ever so slightly out,
Yeah.
because it's fabric.
That's the tolerance bit.
Exactly.
That's good.
If we were working with, I mean, if it was like half an inch out,
Yeah.
then you'd know that was bad. But they're mostly going to line themselves up beautifully.
Yeah. Bit intense. We're having the camera right here.
We're filming Anna's stitching, so some of this video you'll see some of her close-up stitching, and you're feeling it's a bit intimidating, are you?
Yeah. Do you find that when you're making
No,
things?
I absolutely don't. I really don't mind it at all.
We've
So
done it a lot, haven't
we'll
we?
get you to that point, Anna, where you don't mind it either.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the ends not meeting.
Okay.
It's the sides we're worrying about, not the ends.
Yeah.
And now you're going to chain piece the next one. So the next one's ready to go. And when you're doing your blocks and you're motoring through all these blocks, this construction part is actually really quite quick.
Yeah.
So we're going to do right sides together here, like that, and you're going to sew that down the 8-inch, onto the 8-inch strip. So Anna's doing really well here. She's sewing the long runs together and then sewing those 4 long runs onto the 8-inch strip.
See how that's a bit? Should that be?
It doesn't matter if it's a little bit, if the edges don't quite meet up, because the whole thing is width of fabric. It's going to be out slightly. This is the less important measurement.
Yeah.
These are the ones we want. So you would just put it together so that the whole thing fit together, and don't worry too much about the ends.
Okay.
Yeah, she's doing great. Quite a big quilt. So 16 like this. That can't you?
Yeah. So the quilt's getting like more colourful in my head than it was when we were first talking about
What
it.
the fabric choice is?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's going to be all muted and toning shades. Now it's going to be a bit more bright.
Yeah, I think it's because we started planning it in the winter. And now it's the summer and I'm feeling like more colourful or something.
Oh, I'm pleased about that.
Yeah.
Good, because colourful. Well, you know how I feel about colourful.
I do.
I'll give you this one.
Thank you.
Okay, so Anna's now sewn these together like so, and as she was doing so, I realised my error. Now, if you buy a pattern and you follow the instructions on how to make a quilt pattern or a knitting pattern or anything, it will give you the exact measurements. And I messed up because, of course, this piece here needs to be the same size as this piece. And whereas these were 2-inch strips, when you sew them together, you're losing a ½ an inch each time, quarter of an inch each time.
Yeah.
So I messed up by saying this needed to be 8 inches. It needs to be 6½ inches if you're going to make a block this size. Sorry, everybody. I wonder if Quilt Police spotted that earlier on when I was talking about it. Because, of course, 1, 2, 3, 4 2-inch strips is 8 inches of fabric. So I cut 8 inches of fabric
I thought I'd just sewn them really badly, so I'm just relieved.
No, she didn't. So, we've got this lovely long strip now, which is correct now. Apologies, but I'm always making mistakes with maths.
The maths.
Yeah, maths. So now what we're going to do to this, because this does not look like your quilt block, does it?
No.
So we're going to make it look like your quilt block now by magic.
Okay.
So what we're going to do, and this is when I discovered that I'd done it wrong, we're going to fold that in half there, like so, and start from this end. Now we've got some little scrackety ends here because they're not quite the same length, each of them. So I'm just going to trim those off for you, Anna, so that they don't get in your way. Weird trimming there. And now what I need you to do, please, is sew it together so that we're making a tube.
Okay.
Okay.
Clever.
So tube away. And I'll just sit here and think about what I've done. I definitely need. I need quilt police lessons.
No, but you're like you say, you're coming up with this one.
I know.
So...
I am. I know, but that was a real rookie error, wasn't it? Just forgetting to take off the 1/4 inch.
But you know what I find in my lessons, because I teach the violin and piano, is I find that I always own up to, when I don't know something or if I make a mistake.
Oh, yeah.
And they really like that.
Oh, of course, because you learning from me, you see that I'm not this kind of quilting goddess on a throne with a crown on.
Well,
I'm very fallible indeed.
But that mistake, that'll stay in my head.
Yes, it will.
So at some point in the future, I'll be like, oh no.
Oh no. Yes, exactly.
And I probably won't remember exactly, but
no,
I'll
but
like,
you'll know
one
to
time.
you'll know to accommodate the 1/4 inches.
Yeah, and you will as well.
Which is what all these clever quilting patterns have already done. We're going to let Anna sew these together now. So now Anna's sewn that tube together, and what we're going to do with it now, and actually it's quite useful having this pink thread because you can see it really, really clearly. And so I'm using this ruler. Now there's all sorts of shapes and sizes of quilting rulers.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no end to the types of rulers you can buy. And what we need now is a 45-degree angle. But you can achieve that with this square because it's written on here.
Okay.
Now, what we're going to do then, let me work this out. We're going to take the 45-degree line, but we're going to place it on the sew line, not on the edge of the fabric.
Yeah.
And we're going to just scooch it along until it's right by the edge there. And then our first cut is waist.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to do the first cut there, like so. Okay. Now, we need another 45 degrees now. And so we need to take that 45... Oh, hang on a minute. No, we need to turn it upside down so that 45 degrees again going along the sew line.
Yeah.
And meeting up exactly with the apex.
Oh my goodness. This is very, very clever.
It is actually. It is clever. And so now...
What do people do before sewing rulers?
Oh, scissors. And not this.
Yeah.
And so now we cut that bit there. Now what I want you to do now is open that out.
Okay. Very good. Very good.
There we have one, exactly like we made before.
Why is that like that?
Oh, you'll always have a little ear sticking out there. We can trim those down.
Yeah.
Is
that because it wasn't quite lined up?
Oh, no, it's not that. It's just that we've cut from the sew line and not to the end. So you always get little ears, bunny ears. And so now...
That's great.
Now then, watch what happens now though, because we're going to cut another one and I want you to have a go at lining it up. So you're going to line up the 45-degree line with the sew line.
This bottom sew line?
Yes. And you're going to take, that's it, you're going to take that right, so always stick to the sew line and right to the very end there.
And then I'm going to shmow up here?
Yes, please. And press really, really hard so it doesn't move. Open that one out. Because what you'll see now is...
Wow.
You've got the opposite direction.
That's so cool.
Whereas that fabric's there, that fabric, so you've got them in the opposite direction. And
so clever.
What I want you to do now then is
Yeah.
cut. You should get 6 out of here, and I'll press these while you're cutting. So work out, if you can, what to do next.
Okay.
Pull it along. That's it. And now...
And then you go up onto...
That's it. We're using that 45-degree line there. That's it. She's got it. And just hold it nice and firm and cut that. Yeah, that's not a problem. I'll press that one. And you should get 6. Okay, and the last one. Thank you. Why don't you have a play with them and stick them up? I'll put them here and you can move them around and do what you like.
Thank you.
With loads more layouts. And the only thing really to remember is that we've got 2 different blocks, but in your final quilt, when we've got your fabric and you're making these, you will have an endless variety.
Yeah.
How's that then?
Yeah, fun.
We'll wait till we've got all of your blocks and that will cover the whole design board, and we'll enjoy how they all come together.
Yeah.
I really like that way of making them rather than the other way though.
Yes, I do.
So now we're just going to be waiting for Anna's fabric to arrive, and then we'll get on and do that, and it will be the next in this quilt series. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and we'll leave on the end card, we'll leave the playlist to Anna's quilt making series. This is number 4.
It is, yeah.
And it's going to carry on going until we have a finish.
Yes.
Yeah. So thanks. Subscribe if you haven't already. We've done a lot of filming today, loads and loads more filming than we need for this video, and I think you're going to make a little behind the scenes for the patrons, aren't you?
Yeah.
So over on Patreon on Fridays there'll be more videos about this project and other things too. So thanks so much everyone, and Anna and I will see you in the next instalment.
Yeah.
But next week we'll get back to something else.
Yeah.
Thank you. Take care now. Bye.